Hey there, it's Christy with addicted2decorating.com, and today I want to show you how I made these coasters out of 4-inch tiles, alcohol inks, and resin. To start this project, you will need some 4-inch ceramic tiles, a watercolor brush pen filled with isopropyl alcohol, and some alcohol inks in various colors. After determining the order in which I wanted to put the color onto the tiles, I just began to lay out some lines of color with the alcohol inks. And these dry very quickly, but that will be taken care of in the next step. And I used 3 different colors in various shades. In hindsight, I really wish that I had only used several shades of one color. I think that would have been a lot prettier. But after I got the colors laid out, I used my watercolor pen to go back over the colors and basically reactivate the alcohol inks and spread them around some and blend them together. And then starting again with the first color, I went back to create the lines. And the way that you do that is just by keeping a drier brush. You'll notice that the color on the paper towels to the left of the tile keeps getting bigger and bigger, and that's because with about every 2 swipes of the brush, I blot the brush on the paper towels. Keeping the brush a little drier helps to make those lines. Now, if you want more of a watercolor look, you can keep a wetter brush, and that will help the colors to blend together to create more of a watercolor look. And the good thing about alcohol inks is that they are very forgiving, because if there's something that you don't like about the design that you're creating, you can just go right back over it with more isopropyl alcohol and it will reactivate the inks and allow you to change the design. And here is the first finished tile. After finishing the other 3 tiles, I went back with some liquid gold gilding to add some detail. And I regretted this decision almost immediately. This liquid gilding just is not bright enough and shiny enough for my taste. If I had to do it again, I would use gold leaf or a gold leaf pen. But I was past the point of no return on this, so I just went with it. And then using a wider brush, I covered the edges of the tiles. The good thing about using liquid gilding is that it dries very quickly, so there's no wait time. And in a matter of just a few seconds, you can touch it, so it doesn't slow down the project. With all the detail and the edges done, I was ready to prepare the tiles for resin, and I did this by using painter's tape to tape off the back edges. This will just ensure that the resin does not pull on the bottom of the tiles, and it'll make cleanup a lot easier. So after applying the tape to the back, I went back with my X-Acto knife and trimmed off the excess tape from the edges. And then I just pressed the tape down really well to make sure that it was thoroughly adhered to the back. Then I was ready to pour the resin. For small projects like this, I generally use a cookie sheet and just place the items that I'm about to resin on little pieces of scrap wood. I used art resin, as I generally do. And this is a product that you mix half and half with resin and hardener. And for the 4 coasters, I mixed a total of a ½ cup of resin, which means I used a 1/4 cup of hardener and a 1/4 cup of resin. I also mixed in some glitter just for a little extra sparkle. and then I mixed the resin thoroughly, stirring it for a minimum of 3 minutes. After making sure that no dust had settled on the tiles, I was ready to pour my resin. And I just poured a little bit in the center of each tile and then used my stir stick to move it around and spread it around evenly. This part doesn't have to be perfect because resin is self-leveling, and so as long as all of the areas are covered, then the resin will find its own level. But you do have to be sure that everything is covered, including the edges. If there are any areas that are left without resin, then it's not really guaranteed that the resin is going to fill in those areas. So you really need to make sure just to cover everything with your stir stick or spreading stick or whatever it is you're using to spread the resin around. Next, I used my propane torch to get all of the bubbles out of the resin, but then I noticed that I had a few voids, just some areas that didn't quite get covered well with the resin. So I went back over those and made sure that everything was covered. And then I used my torch again to get all of those bubbles out. And once this was done, I set these aside for about 12 hours to dry. Once they were dry to the touch, I went ahead and removed the tape from the back. And if you want to use these as coasters, I highly suggest that you either put felt or cork on the back so that it doesn't scratch your table. But these also make really cute little 4-inch square pieces of artwork that you can put into a frame. And very soon I will be showing y'all how to make a little frame. Very, very simple project, so that's coming up soon. Thanks so much for watching. For more DIY projects, please visit addicted2decorating.com.